Ever stumble across a place that just seems too perfect? Like, almost suspiciously idyllic.
Yeah, you ever get that feeling like you're about to walk into the spider's parlor,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today. The episode Justice from Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Oh, this is a good one. Talk about a moral quandary.
It really throws you for a loop this episode. We're talking cultural relativism, the Prime Directive, and a whole heap of uncomfortable questions.
So the Enterprise, right, they stumble upon this planet, Rubicon III, after a particularly grueling mission.
Everyone's a little on edge, ready for some R&R.
And they find it, big time. This planet is inhabited by the Edo. They're basically what humans strive to be, but like, times 10?
Think, like, the ultimate wellness retreat.
Healthy, passionate, at one with nature. It's practically offensive how perfect they seem.
So it's like the galaxy's best-kept secret spa getaway.
Pretty much. But then, because it's Star Trek, things can't stay blissful for too long. Data's always got to pick up on something strange.
Right, like Data's internal sensor is basically a plot-driving device at this point.
This time, it's an energy reading an anomaly in orbit around this so-called paradise planet. Right? It just throws this whole wrench into the relaxed vibe, and wouldn't you know it, the away team?
Yeah, they lose contact right as this entity boards the Enterprise.
Talk about bad timing. So they find out this anomaly is a vessel, but not just any old Klingon bird of prey. This thing is different.
Totally.
Okay.
And they're immediately concerned about one thing. Humanity's habit of, well, planting flags on new planets.
Oh, so they know about the whole colony thing. They know. And let's just say they're not thrilled about humanity's little colonization project.
Awkward. It's like that moment you realize the neighbors are documenting all your noise complaints. Except, on a galactic scale with possibly galaxy-ending consequences.
Exactly. But back on the planet, things are about to go sideways for, well, everyone, but especially young Wesley Crusher. Turns out Paradise has some pretty strict rules.
Let me guess. He breathed the wrong way, and now it's an interstellar incident.
Almost. Let's just say, even in Utopia, they've got laws. And apparently, stepping on the wrong flower is a capital offense.
Wait, seriously?
Oh, yeah. This is where justice really throws us into the deep end. Wesley's accident, it unveils the Edo's, shall we say, unique approach to justice.
Unique how?
Any crime, no matter how small, how unintentional, it's punishable by death.
They're kidding, right?
Not even a little bit.
So now Picard has to figure out how to explain to these people who think they've achieved societal perfection that maybe, just maybe, executing a teenager for a gardening mishap is a tad extreme.
And, try not to violate the Prime Directive in the process.
This is like the ultimate no-win scenario. Like, how do you even begin to navigate that diplomatic minefield?
And this, my friend, is why this episode is a classic. It forces us to ask ourselves, is there even such a thing as absolute justice? Or are all of our systems, even the ones that look perfect from the outside, just riddled with these impossible choices?
Well, on that cheery note, back to Data. He finally wakes up after his little meet and greet with the mysterious entity.
And let's just say what he revealed is not exactly what you call reassuring.
Oh, so it gets worse.
Buckle up, because Data drops a bombshell. This entity, not a single being, it's a collective consciousness spread across multiple dimensions.
Okay, hold on. Back up the truck a minute.
Mm.
We're not talking your average, run-of-the-mill alien with a bad attitude here. This is...
Next level. These beings make the Q look like toddlers poking at a supernova, and they've got their sights set squarely on humanity's little corner of the galaxy.
And I'm guessing they're not here for the cookies.
Not unless those cookies are shaped like apologies. See, Data figures out this collective considers the entire star cluster their territory.
So that colony, the one the Enterprise just helped set up.
Yeah, from their perspective, humanity waltzed into their backyard, rearranged the furniture, and helped themselves to the snacks, and they're not happy about it, not one bit.
Talk about a galactic housewarming gone wrong. And of course, all of this is happening while Picard is down on Rubicon III, trying to explain the finer points of cosmic law to a bunch of people who think a parking ticket deserves the death penalty.
You really have to feel for Picard in this situation. Every move he makes could have galaxy-altering consequences, and that's before they even figure out what this multi-dimensional collective is truly capable of.
So Picard, stuck between this advanced species that makes the Borg look like a book club and, well, the Edo's rather hardcore legal system.
Yeah, talk about pressure. It's a classic Star Trek dilemma. You've got the Prime Directive screaming, don't interfere, but then there's this whole moral obligation to, not let a kid get vaporized for a cosmic parking ticket.
It's a tough one. And something tells me the Edos aren't really down for debating the finer points of interstellar law.
You got that right. This is where the episode really digs into the whole cultural clash thing, the Edo. They're completely baffled by the Prime Directive. They just cannot wrap their heads around a society that wouldn't intervene to save one of their own.
It's like they're looking at Picard like he's just sprouted a second head.
Pretty much. See, their whole culture is built on this absolute sense of justice. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Always. No exceptions.
It makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? Is that really justice, or is it just, I don't know, cold-hearted math? Where's the empathy?
And that's the thing, they're so focused on order, on this rigid structure, that they've lost sight of compassion, of mercy.
It's chilling, really, to think of a society so afraid of chaos that they've engineered all the empathy out of it.
Right. But try explaining that to the Edo, who believe their system is the peak of civilization. It's like trying to convince a robot to go on a meditation retreat. They're just not wired that way.
And to make matters worse, their lack of understanding, it gets misconstrued as something else entirely.
Oh, yeah. They see Picard's hesitation, his attempts to reason with them as weakness. They think he's bound by some higher power, just like them.
So not only do they misunderstand human values, but they also project their own beliefs onto the situation. Talk about a recipe for disaster.
And that's where things get really dicey. Remember the Edo ship, the one that's been lurking this whole time? Well, when Picard tries to beam his team back to the Enterprise.
Don't tell me they take it as an act of aggression.
Close. They block the transporter beam, believing their god is preventing their escape. It's like a cosmic misunderstanding of epic proportions.
So now Picard is trapped, caught between a rock and a hard place, with a side order of impending doom. What's his next move?
Well, Picard, being Picard, does something incredibly risky. He challenges their entire belief system. He basically tells them that their pursuit of absolute justice, it ignores a fundamental truth. Life is messy.
He's not just arguing for Wesley's life at this point. He's advocating for the very concept of nuance.
Exactly. He's asking them to consider that maybe, just maybe, a little flexibility isn't such a bad thing. That progress, even survival, requires adaptation, compromise. It's a huge gamble, questioning the very foundation of their society.
So does his gamble pay off? Did the Edo suddenly have an epiphany?
Well, something happens. As Picard is speaking, the transporter reactivates. His team is beamed back to safety, and the Edo ship just departs.
They just, poof, disappear. No explanation, no parting words, no intergalactic apology cake.
No, it's this incredibly open-ended resolution. We're left to wonder, did Picard actually get through to them? Did they have a change of heart? Or was this some kind of intervention by that mysterious entity pulling some strings behind the scenes?
It's almost eerie how quiet it gets. Like the calm after a storm that you're not quite sure is really over.
Yeah.
And what about Picard? How does he process this whole ordeal?
You can tell it's weighed heavily on him. He's relieved to have his crew safe, obviously, but there's this lingering unease. He's just stared down a civilization that values order above all else, even compassion. It makes you think, did he do the right thing by challenging their beliefs? Was there another way?
It's a question that sticks with you long after the episode ends. But this encounter, as harrowing as it was, it gives Picard a new perspective, especially when it comes to that human colony.
The one that ruffled some very powerful feathers.
The one and only. It's like he realizes that humanity's drive to explore, to expand, it has to be tempered with caution, with a sense of responsibility.
He's recognizing that sometimes the Prime Directive isn't just about non-interference. It's about recognizing when humanity needs to take a step back for the greater good.
It's a humbling thought, really. We often go into these situations thinking we have all the answers, but sometimes the most ethical action is knowing when to listen, when to observe, and, when to step back. But we can't forget about that entity. They're still out there. What happens when humanity inevitably stumbles onto their cosmic front lawn again? It's a real head-scratcher, right? This whole, cosmic watchdog situation. They're judging us, but we don't even know the rules of the game yet.
It's the ultimate test, in a way. Can humanity evolve past that knee-jerk reaction to just, plant a flag on whatever planet looks interesting? Or are we doomed to repeat the same mistakes on a galactic scale?
Because let's face it, removing one colony, that's not exactly a long-term solution. Not if we're serious about venturing out into the galaxy.
Exactly. This isn't just about the Edo or even that entity. It's about recognizing that our actions, even with the best of intentions, can have ripple effects, consequences we might not even be able to comprehend.
It's like that old saying, we don't know what we don't know. Except in space, what we don't know could literally wipe us out.
Yeah.
Sobering thought, right?
It definitely gives you pause, but that's the beauty of Star Trek, isn't it? It takes these big, complex issues and makes us confront them, even if it's just within the safe confines of a fictional story.
It gets you thinking, that's for sure. And in the case of justice, it makes you wonder, are we ready? Are we as a species mature enough to handle the responsibility that comes with exploring the universe?
Are we ready for that kind of responsibility? Honestly, I don't know, but I do know this. The more we grapple with these questions, even the uncomfortable ones, the better prepared we'll be for whatever's waiting out there, because the universe. It's a big place, full of wonders, full of dangers, and probably full of a whole lot of things we haven't even begun to imagine yet.
Well said. And on that note, we come to the end of another deep dive. We've explored a utopian society with some not-so-utopian rules, tangled with a multi-dimensional entity that makes the Q look like Boy Scouts, and pondered the very nature of justice, all through the lens of a single Star Trek episode. Join us next time as we boldly go forth into another thought-provoking exploration of the human condition, one episode at a time.